Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second half hour of The Factor Uncensored. Correcting a child's so-called bad behavior should never end in death. Two cases to tell you about tonight. First, a foster mother in Indiana sentenced to 6 years in prison back in January. Jennifer Lee Wilson charged with homicide. She weighs 340 pounds and sat on 10-year-old Dakota Stevens for 5 minutes, resulting in his death. According to court documents, he was, quote, acting bad and threatening to run away from home. Now to this case here in Texas. A man named Daniel Schwartz has been sentenced to 18 years behind bars after admitting to making his daughter jump on a trampoline in the hot sun. The 8-year-old Jalen Ann died in 2020 from dehydration. It was 110 degrees outside. Her parents forced her to continue jumping without any water to drink as a form of punishment. Jalen's mother, Ashley Schwartz, was sentenced to life in prison in 2023. Joining us to talk about it tonight, therapist Dr. Jasmine Boone. So what do you think is going through a parent's mind that would go to those extreme measures and not realize the damage or the harm or even the death that they can cause with their own children?
It could be any number of things, right? I think one thing is this really kind of skewed in therapy we call cognitive belief, where pain builds character. Oh, well, when I was young, if I did this, this would have happened to me and I came out fine, right? And like, so it's not that bad. They'll be okay, but they need to learn, right? And so it goes way too far. In this case, it's fatal. Right? But there's so many components that you have to take into consideration, like what did these parents go through? Like what was their exposure to physical abuse and aggression, right? To go to this extent, okay, jump on a trampoline, it's hot outside, okay, come back in. But no, just keep going. And no water. It's unbelievable. But yeah, to answer your question, it's not that bad. You'll suffer a little bit and then you'll come back in the house and you will have learned your lesson. And that's not the case. It's inappropriate.
And in the first case, we saw and read that the woman was 350 pounds and she has a 10-year-old son that she's the foster mother of. What makes her think she can sit on that child as punishment?
You know, I think she knew that it would be a shock to the child mentally, physically. I don't know how she wouldn't fathom that it could be deadly for him, especially given her weight, how frail he is. And I'll be honest, like, I believe that it's not, she just sat on him and he's gone. He's squirming, he's crying, he's yelling out. So there's some
likely saying, I can't breathe, because you hear that from kids all the time.
Yes, and so you wanted to punish him cruelly and unusually. Like, there is something, some personality disorder where there's lack of empathy, lack of sympathy, right? That allowed you to stay when you see he's struggling beneath your weight until he takes his last breath.
And when you as a parent, you're approaching a situation like this and you're extremely mad, you're angry with your child, and you're thinking about all kinds of crazy punishments out there, what would you tell that parent to do before they take that approach, which could end them up in prison like these parents for life or years?
You got to take a break. You have to take a break. Psychologically, it takes the brain, once it reaches a heightened state of anger, at least 20 minutes to kind of calm back down. So making any decisions within that 20 minutes is not going to be good for you. You're seeing red.
But how do you make that parent realize that you need to stop right where you are before you take that action?
It's education. You know, how will these parents know if they haven't been exposed to that option? You know what I mean? Not every parent knows about this psychological study about 20 minutes and all. You know, it's you have to, as a parent, you have to want to do better. Even if you came from an abusive childhood yourself, do the work, do the research, take the parenting classes. They are available, right? To learn these type of things, to learn the tools that you can stop, take a break, let me regroup before I have this conversation or decide on the punishment for this child. You know, So it's something that people have to be willing to want to educate themselves on. But if you're coming with the mindset of like, oh, this is my child, I know what I'm doing, it happened to me, it's going to happen to them, it'll be fine. Of course, this can end up in any household.
In the second case where there were two parents,
yeah,
and no cooler mind prevailed between those two. I mean, if you're a couple, someone should say, look, this is going too far.
Yeah. You know, I don't know, and I won't go into gender. I don't know if it's the mom or if it was the dad.
Well, the mom got life. The dad
So
got
it
18
was the
years
mom.
old.
More than likely, if I see that you're capable of doing that to your own child, I'm scared of what you're going to do to me. So I'm not going to be too vocal because next is coming my way, which is sad. It's a sad household to live in. God bless the child and his soul. But, you know, if there is intimidation, control, possession in the household, people are trained. People are in check. You know, I feel this is wrong. Hopefully, a parent felt this was going too far, but was too scared to say something. It's heartbreaking to think that they were both in cahoots and full on game for this.
Dr. Jasmine Boone, thank you for joining us and trying to make sense of this.